Hey guys, Evans here, and super excited. I'm here with the team at Senior Fit, and just wanted to chat with you guys about this conversation about exercise versus nutrition. Uh, um, I guess Katie's the one who kind of brought up conversations recently, and so I'll have Amanda start us off a little bit with, she's our research expert, so hook us up.
Okay, so when we talk about nutrition and exercise, especially if you want long-term success with weight loss, you need both. But when we're looking at weight loss, typically the equation comes out as 80% nutrition and 20% exercise. We hear a lot, I exercise so I can eat whatever I want. In reality, you cannot out-exercise a bad diet. If you debate on eating healthy or working out for like 2 hours, please eat healthy. It's important to develop these healthy habits over time instead of having them all at once, because if you do a fad diet or you restrict your calories, you are more likely to regain your weight back quickly if you do that too fast.
And when we look at why people tend to lean more into the exercise versus the nutrition, I think it comes down a lot to the accessibility and the ease of exercise versus changing your diet, because you can go to the gym and find a trainer, join a class, or do something that it ends up being enjoyable. Like you can go work out with a group of people, you post your photos on Instagram. It tends to be a lot more challenging and at times a lot less enjoyable to change your diet so that, you're like, ooh, here's my chicken and broccoli, and like take a picture and post it on Instagram. So there's just this fun component to exercise that there might not be in nutrition. And it just is a lot more challenging to change your eating day after day after day than it is to add in going to the gym a couple of times a week. And to piggyback off of what Amanda said, people tend to overestimate how many calories they're burning in a workout, and then might use that on the back end to say like, yeah, I can eat a little extra today because I worked out really hard. So when we're looking at that balance, it's super important to consider the nutrition, even though it might be easier for a lot of people short term to add in the exercise.
Yeah, and I know before Alexis goes in there, it's kind of like, with exercise, you actually feel it, right? You sweat, your heart rate gets up, you get DOMS, you feel like you're doing a whole lot of work. But the reality, when you start doing the math equations, for somebody who's about 200 pounds and fairly lean, because we know leanness has something to do with how many calories you're actually burning in that exercise bout, 60 minutes of working out is maybe about 350 calories. So, we start equating how much exercise I have to do to match just the caloric expenditure. It's quite a bit to kind of get it in there, which is, huge. So that's something to also consider. It's like, okay, yes, I'm sweating. Like no one, eats, like you said, chicken and broccoli is like, oh, my pants feels looser.
Right.
But when you work on glutes, you're like, yeah, babe, my glutes feel tighter. You do some crunches, you're like, I can feel my abs. So absolutely. So there is that psychological, difference of what one feels like versus what really produces results.
Alexis. All right. So, like Amanda said, you can't out exercise a bad habit. So putting those two components into your plan is really important to lose fat, also to gain strength. And then I did some research and I actually found that your diet has a stronger effect on weight loss, and exercise has a stronger effect on preventing weight gain after you lose your weight loss. So with that said, that doesn't mean, don't exercise while you're trying to lose weight. No, it's important that you're still using a strength training program while you're losing your weight. So while you're doing your healthy eating and building those consistent habits, you still want to work out just a little bit, but more specifically the resistance training, because as we age, we lose muscle mass, you lose bone density. So doing the resistance training is really important because it allows you to increase that strength and increase your muscle mass. And then, a typical strength training program could be 2 to 3 times a week. It could be 30 minutes. You want to work on your muscle, like your large muscle groups. And then you could do about 3 sets or start off with 2 sets of maybe 12. And then when you're choosing that weight, it's important that you're using a weight that's going to like tire your muscles out.
That's awesome. You know, and you're so right. You know, when it comes to that body composition change, and that's what we're talking about, right? There's one thing to lose weight, but no one really wants to lose muscle. You know, last week we had, you know, a physician on. He talked about how people go into nursing homes because of weakness, not because of sickness, and how we lose muscle over time as we age. So no one really wants to, you know, lose muscle. When the scale number goes down, we want to lose fat. So when it comes to mobilizing and losing fat, the best way to do that is through nutrition. You know, I would say, you know, we hear commonly like 80-20, 70-30. It's really like 100-100. And the reason why I say that is because no one gets stronger eating broccoli. You know, no one's like, man, I had this steak and I could lift heavier, or my core is in better, you know, is stronger, or my posture is better. You know, no one can run up a flight of stairs faster or without getting winded just by eating really good, right? But you take someone and they're going in the gym and they're lifting weights, and a lot of people who do that and don't change their diet actually gain weight. You know, so, you know, and some of that weight gain is not necessarily muscle gain either. You know, there's that early portion when you first start exercising, you gain a little bit of muscle, but then after that, you actually, any other gains is really fat. It takes a lot of work to really put on some serious size when it comes to muscle. So I would challenge the thought process to say, okay, how can I, you know, incorporate both entities to you know, to really get some results. And another thing Alexis said was, you know, about this idea of resistance training helps you maintain your weight loss. And I can't tell you how many people that we've had over the years, they've reached a measure of success. They're like, this is awesome. Thank you guys so much. I'm just gonna like continue on my own. But the reality is, one of the reasons why they failed in the past is because of lack of accountability, lack of support, and lack of knowledge. So they have the knowledge, but they don't have the accountability and support anymore. And they wind up regaining the weight because they stopped doing what they were doing when we were guiding them. So that's such a powerful thing. I think during the Christmas time, we went to a mixer, and Katie and I got all these A's, and Alyssa, thank you. You know, but Katie and Alyssa were talking to you know, some guys who run a bariatric weight loss clinic, and they were saying that we can get people down with gastric bypass surgery in the sleeve 100 pounds. But the challenge is 2 years later, they've regained the weight. But we've noticed that people who exercise during and post bariatric surgery actually keep the weight off for a longer period of time. In America today, there's actually stats, right? You know, I think there's over 70% of Americans are dieting at any given point in time, you know, so that's a huge industry. But most people who have tried to lose weight and need to lose a significant amount of weight has lost on average 30 pounds, you know, but the percentage of people that keep that weight loss off for 3 years is less than 5%. So that's kind of crazy, you know, that a lot of us, we lost weight because we looked at nutrition only, you know, but many of us has regained the weight because we didn't have a support system. You know, I love Lynn's comment here that her nutrition has been on point lately and really ready to step up her workout game and really work on toning. You know, that's a phenomenal thought process. And this is actually a great comment, Lynn, that dials into this exercise versus nutrition, right? So how do we get toned? Katie, how do we get toned?
You're getting toned by losing body fat, potentially raising your muscle mass a little bit, but really it's losing body fat so that those muscles stand out more.
Absolutely. So how do we get toned? Like she said, we got to cut the fat still. So even though our nutrition is tight, we may have to dial in a little bit tighter and go in a little bit harder with our nutrition. Now, here's the deal. Depending on where we are in our journey, what a little bit tighter and a little bit harder looks like completely different. You know, a phenomenal conversation today, and I was talking to, a client, and I was like, where you are right now, all you need is awareness. And she's going to drop weight, and all she's going to do is just track what she's eating. And then we have other people who they need to maybe get the right combination of macronutrients in there. Some people are just not eating enough protein or eating enough calories altogether. So that's a little bit different for everyone. But yes, so she's exactly right. How do we get toned? Toned, those are marketing terms that are used in the plate, to kind of say, I want my muscles to show. And the way you do that is we got to cut the fat off on top. We got the muscle. Now, some of us don't got the muscle, and you got to create it. Just real talk. I remember I had a client, he was at 4% body fat and had no muscle tone. Now, when you understand what 4% looks like, that is low percentage of fat. But he was just like ultra skinny, and all we did was build muscle, and he looked like Jack. But most people have a good amount of muscle, it's just covered up. Like my muscles may be hiding, so we want those muscles to say peekaboo, and the way we do that is with nutrition. Lynn has this other great comment here. She says, I can also think of a lot of people that go to the gym and work out and don't really know what they should be doing and eventually give up because they don't see results. And that's so true. We see it all the time. People go, oh, that doesn't work, or I don't think anything works for me. And the reason why is because what they're doing doesn't work for them. We have 5 different people on here. We all can't eat the same things, do the same workouts, and get the same results. We're all showing up to the game differently. I'm the non-athlete of the group. We even played like frisbee, ultimate frisbee over the weekend. And, I'm standing on the sideline, dry heaving like someone's grandpa, and they're running back and forth like nobody's business. And I forget I'm with track and soccer athletes and basketball athletes. So, don't be discouraged, but really invest. Dr. Wilson said last week that people spend their last 2 weeks of their lives trying to stay alive, more money in the last 2 weeks staying alive than their whole life being healthy. Imagine if you invested in yourself, just the amount that you'd invest into a car payment. You can really see a result different. And you're only in your car a couple of times, a day. If that, you're in your body all day, every day. So let's talk about maybe some tips we can give them as they're let's give them some nutrition tips as well as some exercise tips or to make this decision on what to do and how they can do some things. Anybody goes first.
Okay. I do want to point out we did a live at some point on what it takes to get lean. So that can definitely be a reference for some people if you're trying to figure out like, where am I in this grand scheme of things? Is it awareness that I need, or like, do I really need to be dialing into like the different macronutrients? So that could be a great resource. And I guess that's really a good place to start is figure out where you're at. Are you at square one? What is a macronutrient? What are they even talking about? So for you, it might be a good idea to just build awareness of what you're eating. You can either write out everything you're eating, or you can use like a MyFitnessPal app to start to get an idea of like how many calories you're eating a day, when you're eating, how much you're eating. But I think for a lot of people, a great starting point is just understanding what I'm eating, protein, carbs, and fat, and how much of it.
That's awesome. Who's next? Somebody else.
And then I would say to follow up with Katie, once you get past the step 1 of being aware of what you're eating, then you want to start putting in a little bit of exercise. It can be 2 to 3, start off with 2 days a week, and then you can move yourself to 3 days a week, and just starting off with 30 minutes a day. It can be just a little bit of walking if you're not exercising at all. And then you can increase your aerobics and also increase like your resistance training, and just start lifting a little more and putting them all together. And then, once you get past that part of you lost your weight, you're trying to keep it off, it's important that you exercise still regularly. So you want to stay active. And then good ways to keep your healthy habits that you build to lose the weight is just having food law, keeping your food and then somewhere where you can log it. And then also stepping on the scale regularly. So it's important that you see any gains that may happen in your weight. And then also just to see if you're still losing weight while you're maintaining the weight loss that you already, to see it.
Nice. So another thing, as I said earlier, was, if you're feeding the eating healthy, you're working out longer. So we don't want to overtrain our body. So you need to work out follow the guidelines. I wouldn't exceed an hour. And I think that's really important because you don't want to overuse those muscles and actually increase catabolism, which is breaking down those muscles.
Yeah. And I would even piggyback on all these great nuggets in the fact that, think about the psychology of it, right? If I overtrain, I'm going to be hurting for a longer period of time, which discourages me to train again. So if you look at, and maybe we'll do this, next week, talk about maybe the exercise or the nutrition pyramid. But when we look at that, at the base of it, like what's going to get you the most amount of results possible is adherence. Can you just be consistent? If you can just, stack those days on top of each other over time, even if they're not great days. I think yesterday we worked out, Amanda and I worked out, we were super sore. We didn't want to work out. The day was busy. We didn't have enough time to do the full workout that we normally do and everything else, but we put something on the books. And that something on the book is that penny being doubled every day, and that's what's going to produce some long-term results. So that's, a couple of mindset pieces in there. Alyssa, you want to add anything and take us home?
The only thing that I was thinking of is, it's totally normal to think that, like, I need to do one over the other. But like Evan said, it's really important to do both at the same time. And I know, like, everything out there, like, you see those, like, I'm not going to say the name, but like those workout videos and stuff like that. And there's these ripped people and you're like, ooh, if I do this video, I'm going to look like that. Well, the reality is that there's so many things that go on behind the scenes. They're dialed into their nutrition. They're working out consistently and not overdoing it. They have that good balance. So it's just important to keep that in mind. Like, a lot of the things that you see are not exactly correct. So definitely be patient with yourself and just stay consistent. And then if you need help, get someone to hold you accountable, because that's the hardest part. So getting someone to hold you accountable who actually is a step ahead of where you are or a couple steps ahead is even better. That way you have someone who has been where you're at and can sort of guide you in the right direction. So those are just my thoughts.
Awesome. Cool deal. So, hey guys, we're from Senior Fit. We hope this adds some value to you and kind of help you understand that you need both. It's not one or the other. And when you're starting off, even if you start with a little less exercise, you can use that time to cook food, and get that nutrition piece dialed in. Talk to you soon and have a wonderful day.